Okay, today we're going to do word activity 1 and 2. It's sort of an intro. Some of it will be new and some of it's a review, the shortcut keys that we're going to cover. In word activity 1, we're going to open a document, save it, rename it, put a header in, put a page number in, put a page break in. In word activity 2, it's the same shortcuts we did last year. The software doesn't work any different with them. So the first thing you guys are going to do is you're going to open up Word Activity 1, and then you'll go to File. Don't do it now. Just watch me, please. Then you're going to go to File, New, Blank Document. Say Create. When it brings it up, it might bring it up small, large. The way that I do it is I take this in the gray part here, I grab it, and then I just sort of throw it out to the right, and it takes up half the page. Then you can increase and decrease the size by clicking on these plus and minus signs. Okay, so if you want to see the view bigger or if you want to see the view smaller, you can do it that way. So under Word Activity 1, it's going to ask you to change the font and font size. It's the default that it's asking for, but if you want to change the font, you'd do that here under the Home ribbon. It's the font size, and here's the font next to it. Then it asks you to put your name, press Enter. Then it just asks you a series of 5 questions. What's your favorite snack food? Popcorn. What's your favorite pizza topping? Cheese. What's your favorite movie? Annie. The favorite song? I don't know what my favorite song is. How about that happy song? Is that what it's called? Yeah? Favorite TV show? I don't know. What's your favorite TV show? What'd you say? Teen Wolf? Okay. I've never seen Teen Wolf. Is that really good? Okay. Then it's going to ask you to save. So you're going to go to File, Save As. It is extremely important. It will default to My Documents or Desktop. You need to come down here. Just because it says Documents or My Documents like this doesn't mean you're saving in the right place. You have to come down to parentheses H drive. They did not default all of our computers to the H drive this year. So just like in typing time, you're not defaulted. So you'll lose your work. Or there's a chance you can lose your work. And then you'll save it. So they want you to save this as likes. So you'll save it as likes and say save. Then it wants you to go back through and say, do your least favorite. So my least favorite snack food is green beans. And let's say pineapple is my least favorite. My least favorite movie is Jaws. And my least favorite song is, I don't know. And my least favorite TV show is SpongeBob. I know, he says shut up a lot. I don't think it's nice. I'm just saying. So, then after we've done all this, they ask us to put a header in. So to input a header, to insert a header, we're going to go, and if you don't know how to do this, this is something that you want to write down. Just existing in the room is not taking part in your learning. Know what kind of learner you are. Do you watch me and remember? Do you need to write it down because you might forget tomorrow? I don't mind if you ask me questions, but if you ask me questions and I say, well, let me see your notes, and you say, well, I didn't take any notes. I just don't know how to do it. You're not taking responsibility for your own learning. Just existing in the classroom and sitting quietly isn't necessarily actively listening. So this would be something that would be good to write down if you don't know how to do it. If you know how to do it already, cool. Don't write it down. But no, if you ask me a question, my first question to you is going to be, let me see your notes. And if you say, I don't have any, I didn't do that. I'm going to say, well, this tells you then that you need to take some notes. You have to participate. You have to start figuring out what kind of learner you are. So, to insert a header, you're going to go to Insert. If you have full screen view, it's going to show up Insert Header like this. You're going to see this whole little tab. If you have it halfway, it's going to be a smaller tab. So I'm going to say Insert Header. The one that you're going to choose for all your Word documents is going to be the second one down where it says 3 columns. Once you do that, you're up here in the header now. So you're going to put your name, the name of the document. This document's going to be named Dislikes, and your hour. So this is 3rd hour. So right now I'm still in my header. To get out of my header, you double click down below. Once you do that, this turns light gray, showing that this is in your header. Okay. Then it asks you to insert a page number. So we're going to go to Insert, and it wants us to do this in the footer. So we're going to go to Insert. You don't go to Footer, though. You're going to go to Page Number. Use the drop-down box. We're going to say at the bottom of the page, and I don't care if it's center, right, whatever makes you happy. Okay, then to get out of the footer, I double-click. Now it wants you to put a page break below your least favorite TV show. This is also under the Insert ribbon. So we're going to go to Insert and Page Break. Page Break is under Pages. Once again, if you're large, you're going to see a nice little Page Break button here. If it's smaller view, like we have here, you have to go to Pages and then do Page Break. So when I insert Page Break, wherever my cursor is, it's going to insert a page break. So now it should say 2 down here, which it does, and it says 1 on the first page. Okay, pretty simple stuff. Now, we've changed this document from likes to our dislikes now. It used to be when we had typewriters, you'd take the typewriter and you'd have to start a whole new document over. So if I was going to write, a letter to one student and then I'd write it to another student, I'd have to start over. But the great thing about when computers came along, you can open a file, edit it, and then save it as a new name. So what we've done is we've opened this, we've edited it, and we want to save it as a new name. You just have to be careful to go to File Save As, not File Save. If I go to File Save, it'll save it as likes. If I go to File Save As, then I can save it as dislikes. So I go to File, Save As, and then I'd save it as dislikes in my H drive. Okay. Everybody clear on that? All right, moving on to Word Activity 2. Word Activity 2 is actually a review of last year. It is all the shortcuts. So I'm going to say File, New, create a new blank document. I'll throw it over here to the right again. And what it's going to ask you to do is insert a header again. So we're going to go to Insert, Review of this, Header, and then the 3 columns. You're going to put your name, Stacy Smith. You're going to put keys, and then you're going to put your hour or the date, depending on what they ask for. This one they asked for the date. Today is 3/25. Then double click below to get out of your header. Make sure you press double click below. You don't keep working in your header so it shows up at the top of each page. Then it asks you for a list of things. It's your first and last name, your nickname, I don't really have one, your parents, Lynn and Norm. If you have more than 2 parents, you can list them all. I actually have 4. Okay, and so forth. I guess teaching interests me. So you're going to go down. So as you go down, you're going to answer all the questions. Then you're going to go back, and it's going to ask you to change using these shortcuts. So we have bold, italics, and underline up here on the Home tab. We can increase a font size and decrease it here. But what this is asking you to do is to change it using the shortcuts. The shortcuts are when we use Control. And they are listed on Word Activity 2, so you guys don't need to write these down because they're at the top of the page that you're going to be using. They're actually at the top of and the bottom. So they'll be in both pages that you're working on. So Control B is bold, Control I is italics, and Control U is underline. If you want to make something Larger, bracket to the right, bracket to the left makes it smaller. Whoops. Then, if you want to copy, this is one of the ones I use the most, is Control-C. Then put your cursor down below, and Control-V is paste. Control-X is cut. And this works if you're working in Internet Explorer. That works if you're in an email. Any place, Control-C is copy, Control-V is paste, and Control-X is cut. Copy and paste, I use a lot, those shortcut keys. If I want to print, my mouse is broken, I can go to Control-P, and it brings it up. Moving then over to the right, if we want to right align text, you put your cursor there, and do Control-R. Control-L is left align, and then center is not Control-C because that's copy, it's Control-E. Okay. If I want to highlight something, I just hit the Shift and the arrow keys. If I want to save a file, it's Control-S. To get out of a dialog box like this when it pulls up, if you hit the Escape button in the top left-hand corner, it just takes you out of that box, which is helpful. To close a document is Alt-F4. I don't use this one as much, but it's there if you need it. And to select everything on the page, so if you want to change all the text or all the spacing on the page, you can hit Control-A, and it will select everything. Okay? If you don't want to highlight everything, you can do Control-A, and it selects it all for you. Okay, so these are just the shortcut keys. These are the same ones that we used last year, so these are actually a review. Usually Word Activity 1 would be a review too, but because we are working with new software this year, it's a little bit different. Okay, so we have our different ribbons. Today we talked about the home ribbon and the insert. We will eventually talk about the page layout ribbon and the margins and portrait landscape. References, you can use this sometimes if you're writing papers, things like that. It's not going to be something that we cover a whole lot this year. Mailings are when you're doing a mail merge, so if you have a list of addresses and like of people you want to write a letter to and then send a letter to, you can use this mail merge option. Review is where your spell check, thesaurus, tracking your changes, all that good stuff. Okay. So Word Activity 1 and Word Activity 2 are what you guys are going to do. To show you how to get to your folders, you go to the Home button. You're going to go to the 8th grade, 3rd hour. And where it says folders here, you're going to have two folders right now, Word and the R drive. The R drive is on our hard drive, but if you're ever at home working on something because you were absent or because you got a little behind in class, whatever's on the R drive is also out here in this folder. We're going to go to the 8th grade Word, and this is where all your lessons for our Word activities are going to be. So here's Word Activity 1. You just double click on it. If I say open, it'll open it up. And then I usually say enable editing because it just allows me to move it around a little easier. So that's it. You get the rest of the hour to work on Word Activity 1 and 2. Does anybody have